Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Robin Dufault, 2020 CDAR president, and these town halls have been very popular, and I thank you for attending. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. Everyone will be muted. If you need to ask a question of the mayor, there's a chat button down below, and we will relay it to Mayor Kors. First, I want to introduce him and some of his accomplishments. Geoff Kors moved to Palm Springs in 2000 and was elected to serve a 4-year term on the Palm Springs Council in November 2015 and re-elected to serve a 4-year term representing District 3 in November 2019. He's a graduate of Stanford Law School. Geoff has had a distinguished career working in government policy, and law. Previously, Geoff served for 9 years as Executive Director of Equality California, where he led the effort to transform California from a state with almost no legal protections for the LGBT community to the state with the broadest protections in the nation. Geoff's experience also includes representing local government as a lawyer, working as a senior legislative staffer for a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, serving as an assistant regional counsel for the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and he's been awarded commendations by both the Environmental Protection Agency and the United States Department of Justice. Geoff has been an active member of the Palm Springs community for the past 15 years with numerous committees, panels, and associations. And I really don't want to cut into his time because his bio is amazing.
Thank you.
Anyway, welcome, Mayor Kors. We are going to start with a couple questions.
Sure.
And then I will take questions from the chat room.
Perfect.
First, could you please give us an overview of the current shelter-in-place guidelines for Palm Springs? And then are there any restrictions on what real estate agents are allowed to do when working, since we are now essential workers?
Sure. And thank you for having me, and nice to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. It's always really nice that we get to see each other instead of being on calls during this. So, Palm Springs issued our stay-at-home order before the state by a couple days. And we've mostly conformed ours now to the state and county. So when it comes to real estate, there's no difference in Palm Springs versus the county Riverside versus the state of California and what's allowed. We have worked to get the county or the state, but really work closely to get the county to issue more specific guidelines, because a lot of realtors in our city have asked for that. So the city attorney, since the county declined to do that, worked to pull some, that's not a order, it's not requirements, just his interpretation of the various rules on what's allowed as far as showings and signings. Obviously, people need to see a house, have inspections, how to do that safely, that we've sent out and is on our website, and I can send if anyone doesn't have it. And he ran it by the county council, who they went through it together and agreed that those all made sense on what's allowed and what isn't. But the main things are, social distancing, not having open houses, doing it by appointment, people wearing masks, all those things, as much as you can do virtually, of course. But obviously people do need to see a house and get them inspected. And we've had some questions we're trying to get answered about people who don't live in the area being able to travel and stay overnight if they need to for one night as being part of what's allowed, because it's related to COVID-19. And we haven't gotten that answer yet. But as soon as we get it, and I asked our county supervisor as well, we'll make sure that gets out to everyone.
That would be great, because that was suggested earlier when we had another town hall.
Yeah, so it is definitely something that, if someone's moving here full time,
yes,
they need to be able to come see the house, of course.
Are there short-term rental restrictions in Palm Springs?
Yeah, so we issued ours, same for hotels and short-term vacation rentals. The county issued some that are different than ours. The county said no reservations through June 19th. We hadn't done that, but we have to follow that. They did say the same about golf, and they've obviously changed that. So we'll see what happens on being able to take reservations, of course, dependent on things being lifted. The rules in Palm Springs were that both vacation rentals, regular rentals, and hotels could take people for short term. The counties was 60 days, but people could come if it's related to COVID-19. So people who need to be in a separate place from someone they live with, workers, right? We have TSA agents, we have National Guard, we have medical workers, people who are permanently living in a hotel can stay there. We also, in our rule, if someone was already here, even after you couldn't take new check-ins, and it was difficult for them to get home due to travel issues or health issues, they could stay, if it's okay with the owner of the property, of course, the hotel or the vacation rental in those.
And what is the time limit, the minimum amount of time?
I mean, for Palm Springs, you can't come for leisure travel, whether you're coming for 3 months or you're coming for 3 days. Everywhere else, I think, in the county it has to be at least 60 days.
What are the current COVID-19 numbers for the city?
Most recently, I believe it was 84 positive cases and 9 deaths, which of course is sad and incredibly tragic. Early on, the Coachella Valley was, the Riverside County Department of Public Health said we were the hot spot for the county. We were the only cases initially, and Palm Springs was ground zero. We were, the Valley in the start of the 4th week of March had close to 20% of the deaths in the state of California, even though we're 1% of the population. Palm Springs had 3 deaths at the time, which was close to 10% of the deaths, and we're 1/10 of 1%. We are now looking at the Valley being much flatter than the rest of the county and the state in new increases. And I think it's because we acted quickly, and I think because people who live here see, we're a little more small townish, and we treat each other like family, and all the cities work well together, that people really followed the rules. Our police chief, everyone got a warning before they were going to be cited, a business or a resident, and they never had a repeat after a warning, not one. No need to cite, because people followed the rules. And so now we're looking at 3 to 4 week projection at doubling the number of infections, even with new testing. And the county's gone from about 4 days to about 7, which is definitely a nice improvement as well. But here in the Valley, we are doing really well. And I spoke to our emergency manager today, and just looking at the numbers, he said, another 2 to 3 weeks, he really feels we will, if everyone keeps doing what they're doing, is really optimistic. And that was good to hear.
That would be great.
Yeah.
What type of COVID testing is being done, and is it available to everyone?
So the county a few days ago made their testing available to everyone. There are 5 locations. The closest is Indio, Riverside, Blythe, and then 2 elsewhere. Desert AIDS Project is doing testing. It's not for anyone, except you have to have symptoms there. The county has now opened it up for everyone. But the current test that is being done is for whether you currently have the virus. And I think what everyone's hoping for is we're going to have antibody testing widespread to know if we actually have immunity and whether you can get reinfected. And if not, what percent of us have immunity? Because that will really help us make smart, informed decisions. And so we keep on hearing that's coming really soon, but I saw something where, California, due to our huge size, the percentage tested is very low. And so that's a real focus. The governor in his press conference said, we really need to get the testing up in order to start to reopen things, because we need that information desperately.
Sure. Has the council discussed the city budget and how it may be affected by the stay-in-place guidelines?
No, that will start at 3 o'clock today. So I and Councilmember Lisa Middleton are the budget liaisons, and so that is on our agenda for today, both in closed session as it relates to staffing, and then in open session. The city manager, just for the part of March that was closed, April, May, and June, is predicting about a 20 $26 million hit just in that short term in this fiscal year. I think both Lisa Middleton and I think that's optimistic. To think we're going to get 85% TOT when we have almost no TOT coming in. So it's scary. We have doubled our reserves over the last 4 years, but that's 33 million plus a 17-ish million pension reserve. So going into next year, it's just not sustainable. So we're going to really have to figure out what our options are, prioritize services, and we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And so it's scary. And some cities, are in much better shape, and other cities are much tougher budget situations. And our economy in Palm Springs, the whole valley, but especially Palm Springs, is so tourism dependent.
Exactly. And I would think that the music festivals generated a lot for Palm Springs as well as
yes, the impact for the hotels, especially in April, is so significant. And if they aren't allowed to happen in October, that's going to really hurt everyone in the valley.
Did you say hurt everyone?
It will hurt everyone financially in the valley if we can't, if Coachella and Stagecoach are not allowed to happen in October, as many are predicting. You big events where you have thousands of people close to each other are probably the last that are going to be allowed to reopen. So I think that's the real concern.
I've heard on both sides about contractors having restrictions for maybe people are having remodels done, or there might be development in stages. Can you address that?
Sure. I can tell you for Palm Springs, the city manager issued an order. We're going to be discussing it tonight at council, that existing projects that have their approvals can continue, and any ancillary things, whether it's a single family residence, a custom home, a remodel that's already been permitted and underway, any of those are allowed to continue. New projects are on hold during this time, and we're going to discuss that tonight, if there are ways that can be done safely. The concern are the inspectors needing to go out and the risk to workers, and also to make it how we can make sure that on these construction projects, whether the ones that are currently already underway and continuing, or if we allow more, how to do that safely. I know just walking my dog, we need to do a lot more education of the workers about not sitting around and eating out of, the same guacamole chips and sharing drinks, and they're all without masks. So it's really important. These workers need to be protected, and they're not all getting the same information. A lot of them aren't from our area. And so we've really talked about how we can get out to the job sites to help get them masks and provide them the education. And we've reached out to all the contractors to make sure they're getting that information out to their workers, because we want to keep those workers safe.
And I have a question from Diana Bernardi. Who is enforcing the construction?
If we get calls, it's our we have both code enforcement and police, and inspectors are also checking on projects in the city.
Is Marilon still building?
They are building. Marilon is still building, the ones that were approved already.
Okay.
The phase that was
approved. Finished the gardens, the olive trees?
I don't know where they are on that. I know I know that they are constructing houses. Vibe is continuing because they were already permitted. So existing projects, whether single family, whether a remodel, and of course anything that's urgent, right? Permits for water heaters, bathrooms, anything that needs to get done is getting approved.
Question, has the city initiated a hiring freeze?
We will be discussing that tonight, but there has been a hiring freeze the city manager has put in place. Other than, he said it's more of a chill, like if we had to replace a police dispatcher in public safety, those are still getting done, but no new positions. And if someone leaves who's not in that kind of position, we're not going out and recruiting new people for them.
A question, can we get clarification on showing properties for sale? Her understanding is that there are no showings or photographers in Palm Springs.
So I will send you, or Luby can send it. Just let me know if you don't have sort of the city manager's views. And I'm just looking, I pulled it up. they should be done virtually, but if necessary, they can be done with social distancing, face covering. The seller should leave all the doors open and turn all the lights on if they're there, and the buyer can walk around the property but should avoid touching anything. So that's sort of in these best practices is a better way to call it.
Yes, we would appreciate if you'd send that
Yeah.
off to our office.
Sure.
With Palm Springs announcing potential fines, what are the guidelines for these potential fines? How would this apply to real estate for showings, appraisals, et cetera?
The fines, and so far, I mean, the way it works in the city, if there's a violation or we had a business that shouldn't have been open, police or code enforcement will explain them the rules, talk to someone, keep a log of it, and explain what the rules are. No one is getting cited from that. If the business then continues to be open, if it's not essential, then there could be a fine. And that's decided by a code enforcement or police officer will make that decision at that time. So far, my understanding, there's not been one fine issued. There have been a number of warnings, but once it's been explained and people understand it, we have not had people doing that.
Okay, Annette Coffey, who is our association executive, said that your guidelines are on our website already.
Oh, great.
So,
and if you have suggestions for them, keeping within the language, some people said the language probably was one realtor's language. There was outreach to a bunch of different realtors in Palm Springs. So if there's language that you think would be more generic or better understood, please do email me and I will make sure we can make changes.
Okay, we will do that. Question about hotels. With the county announcing the reopening of golf courses with some restrictions, how is the city addressing these new guidelines with golf courses and hotels? Is there anything in the works where we can see the hotels opening sooner than later?
You got it. So a couple things. One, the city will decide tonight what we're going to do as far as golf courses, both public and private, since we had our own order before the counties to close those, and tennis and pickleball or those kind of things at city parks. The initial rule order that we saw in the Desert Sun on golf was only on golf, and then they added some other things, and they didn't really give very specific guidelines yet, but they said you can't touch any of the same equipment, which would be hard in basketball, and potentially tennis and pickleball, though possible, and you have to have the 6-foot distancing. So we pulled together best practices, and we'll talk about them tonight, and Dr. Kaiser from the county will be there to answer some questions. So we'll make those decisions tonight on what we're going to do on those. As far as the hotels, we've heard nothing that indicates the county has not made any changes on allowing hotels, and we're still under, both in the county and state, a stay-at-home, no leisure travel is allowed. We have 2 hotels that are currently open because COVID-19 related essential employees. They have contracts with airlines or TSA, the Hilton and the Renaissance, and they're both operating at close to single-digit occupancy, and most of those are on long-term contracts, so they don't generate TOT. So there's pretty much, as far as leisure travel, we're still not at that place yet. And it's going to be an interesting discussion in how the county wants to deal with, and the state leisure travel, when we know we still have states that are just starting to see their increases because they didn't do stay-at-home orders. And we don't want them coming here and us having another spike. Well, but I think more of the travel, and I think it's going to be the change that we're, working with our Convention and Visitors Bureau and our businesses, and we created a task force of all our businesses to start planning, is our tourism is going to really need to change to much more of drive market focus. I think people from far away are less likely to go on long plane flights, but that also means people in Southern California are less likely to go further away. And so we're already working on what is the marketing campaigns when it is safe to have tourists come back that focuses on people who can get here by driving or a short hour flight versus all the work that has been done, in Asia and Australia and Europe, especially in the summer, because people are less likely to want to travel in a plane for 15 hours, probably at first, and see how this goes. So, we have to be strategic on where we're going to get tourism back once it is safe.
I'm curious as to whether people might want to watch the council meeting tonight. Is that televised?
It is televised. You can go to our website at palmspringsca.gov and you'll see where it talks about Palm Springs TV, and there's a link. You go to the City of Palm Springs YouTube channel. If you live in Palm Springs and you have cable, it's channel 17. And the first half hour will be with Dr. Cameron Kaiser, the head of public health for the county, with a bunch of questions we had for him that I think will be relevant to everyone in the Valley and on those issues as well. And then I'm hoping the council will agree to change the agenda so we do COVID-19 and the budget up front and some of our public hearings on new hotel projects, and those are still coming. That's good news. After, because I think most people are going to be interested in the budget and in what the rules are. So I'm hoping we can move that to the beginning. But 6 o'clock is when we have Dr. Kaiser, and I think really appreciate that he's going to participate and be able to answer questions on the rules.
Great. And do you have any comments for us? We're sort of out of questions. I haven't seen any new ones pop up.
You know, I want to appreciate, I know how hard this is for people, you know, and individuals have their own businesses, which a lot of realtors, or, you know, you work with an agency, but you're really on your own doing a lot of work, and it's a lot harder to do this work now. We appreciate that this is essential business. People do need to sell houses. People do need to buy houses. People are still moving. And so we appreciate you doing it. We appreciate you doing it safely, and the outreach we've had from so many realtors saying, you know, we want to do this safely, like, please advise us. And that really means a lot, that, you know, you all care, you all want what's best for the community, because that's how we're going to all get through this. I think what's going to be really helpful is, as things open up, is really getting input from all of you on what you're seeing in the market. Because I think all the cities, and I see my friend Dana Reed over there, are going to need to plan, are we going to see a property tax hit, right? What is happening? Because we have to plan based on that. And, you know, we're all in this together, right? Property values are tied to how we provide services, and it's important for all of us, it does well. And we know what happens if property values go down, given Prop 13, it could take a decade or more to get back up to today. And so we all want to see your success, see people want to come back and move here. You know, I have friends in New York who are thinking about getting a second home here, and now they're planning on moving full time. They want to get out of a big city. And so, you know, I'm hopeful that this might be not as bad when it comes to the real estate market as some fear. I think there are people who want to live in a place with more space and where you can take a walk outside, and there are activities, and you're not confined in dense urban environments like you might have in San Francisco, San Diego, or New York right now. And so we want to be here to help. I mean, we want you all to succeed. That's in all of our interests, and we want you to do well. And we want our community to get through this safely. So we really appreciate everything everyone's doing.
Great, thank you. There was another question came up.
Sure.
When will you have an economic impact report, and that this has been caused by the COVID, and will it be going forward?
You know, what we have now on economic impact really is on the city side, but it will tell you a lot. You're right. It's sales tax, hotel, vacation rental tax. Those are the two big numbers with property taxes for our city. So we have, you know, that is the data we're analyzing right now. You know, we're waiting to hear how things go with Oakview and the Tribe on the arena. You know, and if that project's moving forward, obviously that could be a great boon to bringing people back here when it's safe if they do go forward. And, you know, there are mixed feelings, of course, among our residents on that. And so we're waiting to hear on that and make sure if that does happen, that the burden doesn't fall on the city for public safety or traffic control. And Oakview has been really good about saying they're going to cover all that. So that's another thing we will be looking at as that moves forward.
Great.
We're also looking at, you know, our own projects. So what can we put off? So we can save that money right now to keep things, as many services open as possible.
Fabulous. I think, Annette, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to share my screen real quick and just show the members where they can go for that information about Palm Springs and COVID-19. And I'd just like the mayor, if you wouldn't mind just confirm that what we have up there is the most recent. I believe it is, but I just like to bring that
Yeah,
up real quick.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. And then I'll go right over to the Palm Springs site and show where you can go to watch the council meeting this evening. So, or this afternoon, actually. One moment, please.
Well, 6 o'clock for the council meeting.
Okay,
3
perfect.
is when we start our closed session, so.
Okay, everybody should now be viewing the CDAR's website. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to go to cdaronline.org, click on the link here, which is the COVID-19, and move down to Coachella Valley City responses. Palm Springs is listed first, and I believe this is the document the mayor was referencing. And it talks about here an example of how a transaction can occur. Is this
Yes.
the document you were referencing?
That is,
Okay.
absolutely. The number on the
Okay,
bottom is
so
the
this
same.
So this is where you can go to get that information. This also has information about every city that we were able to gather information from, and we do appreciate the city of Palm Springs and their communication with us. The city clerk has been extremely helpful in providing us information so that we could share it with our members. So thank you very much.
Great.
And then I'll pop over to City of Palm Springs website, and I believe this is where you would
That's
go
it?
watch Palm Springs TV. And you can then go into watching the live recording of the event. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and come back over to Robin, to you, so you can, there you go.
Great. Thank you. That was helpful.
Let me see
You're
if there were
welcome.
any other questions. No. We really appreciate you being here, Mayor Kors.
No, happy to.
It was a pleasure seeing you and welcoming you to the new world
Yes,
of real estate.
I know it is. But thank you all. And, you know, our website also has a whole bunch of information on applying for the various federal loans and webinars. I know a lot of cities do, but feel free to go there, look at it, copy anything anyone wants. You know, there's plagiarism is flattery, and you know, we're all in this together throughout this valley, and we're going to come through this together. We will.
Thank you.
Thank you,
again.
everyone. Stay safe, stay well.